Therapy appointments, doctor visits, school. If you've ever built the perfect homeschool schedule only to watch it fall apart by Tuesday, this one's for you. When I first started homeschooling, I watched a lot of videos, read a lot of articles about the best ways to schedule with the Charlotte Mason method. They recommend a lot of switching gears so that a brain doesn't fatigue. And while I don't disagree with that, I feel like those schedules make some assumptions. One, that you're going to be home, and two, that you're going to have the energy to do all the different subjects throughout the day, regardless of how much brain power it's going to need. And if your kid has a lot of appointments, that's just not going to be your reality. But that doesn't mean it's not possible. You just have to be more creative with how you use your time. And honestly, for me, there's been something more freeing about this because I can visually see what I can and can't fit in. I want to walk you through how I build our weekly schedule, not subject by subject, but layer by layer. We start with what's immovable and then build everything around it. So I'm going to share my screen and then walk you through how this looks for us, the order that we stack things in, and why it matters. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so this is step one. Step one is going to be appointments. These are weekly appointments that usually don't change. I have two of my kids. One is in green and one is in yellow. We have ABA in the afternoons. You can see that this one starts a little earlier but doesn't have as many days. Dyslexia tutoring, swim lessons for both of them. They both get occupational therapy at the same time. Counseling, speech therapy. This one has physical therapy and speech therapy on that day. And then once I have the immovable stuff, for step two, we're adding the travel time to get to these appointments. So for the ABA therapy, this is done at home, so there's no travel time associated with it. We don't go anywhere on Mondays. On Tuesdays, the travel's going to be before and after appointments. My daughter has speech therapy. That's why there's a gap here. And on this day, travel is also including lunch because we have no time from when we're traveling to when one of my kids starts therapy. So we bring a lunch in the car for that day. And while we're doing the traveling, this is our opportunity to get a lot of our history done. So I have the history audio files and we listen to that. They go through the textbook as it's reading. They can also work on their journal if they would like as well during that time. And then once we're done with the history lessons, then we listen to the audiobooks that go along with that time period as well. Now we're on to lunch and videos. So on Mondays about 11, we're going to start. I already mentioned that on Tuesdays we have to eat in the car. On Wednesdays, before ABA starts. On Thursdays, it starts a little early because we get back at like 10:45 and they're ready to eat. And then it's not going to really matter, but blocked out a chunk of time. So to use lunchtime also efficiently, I show YouTube videos on the screen while they're eating lunch. So we just do it during this time so they get a break, but they have something interesting to do. Now we're on step 4. I'm scheduling the time that they need to spend with me for the time that's going to be convenient for me to be able to work with them. So you can see for my first son, I have it mostly in the morning for language arts. He's the one that's dyslexic, so that helps him a lot to do it first thing. And then I squeeze in the math where I can. For my other son, I'm alternating between sessions. This also allows them to get a little bit of a break and to do some independent study stuff as well. And then I put in the group stuff because the group stuff I'm often doing with them as well, or I may need to help them some. That's usually our religion, science, or history. I am going to have 1 week that's focusing just on science and 1 week that's going to focus just on history because we like to do more deep dive type stuff instead of switching between a whole bunch of different subjects. On Fridays, I'm mostly going to be explaining the activity or being around to help them if they need a little help. They could do this stuff together or they can each work on it on their own. And then all the white that you see, this is going to be their time for independent work that they'll have an opportunity to use. They might not need all of it. And then I also wanted to mention that I did not forget about my kindergartner. Since my 3rd grader and my 6th grader will be occupied during this portion of time every day, this is when I am going to be working with my kindergartner. This shouldn't affect her too much being later in the day, and her lessons are going to be super short because she's so young. She will be able to tag along for any of the group sessions if she would like, but she's also welcome to go play. And then I briefly wanted to show you that this is the final copy of the full week schedule that I'm going to put in each of my kids' binder. And so I have one for the kid that is in green and one for the kid that was in yellow. Now, if this doesn't hold up perfectly week to week, that that is okay. I am often tweaking my schedules as the weeks go on, as I see what works and what doesn't, and I try to meet everyone where they're at to be the most successful. But now that you know how to build one of these schedules, when things shift, it'll be easier for you. Start with the Immovable and then go from there. And there's more homeschooling content coming your way, and I'm Mary Ellen Yates, and this is Growing Together, Neurodiversity at Home. I'll see you in the next one.